Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about Shield Hero Episode 3. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about something because I've heard some rumblings in the community over Shield Hero this season. So I kind of wanted to talk about this because I was hearing this a bit last week with Episode 2, but I get the feeling I'm going to hear it a lot with this episode. So let's just get that right out the way and address it. Now, I've been hearing that Season 2 has been pretty rushed with them cutting content and whatnot from the light novels and all that. I heard that they've kept some key parts out of the season that give a lot of character to some characters. And I just kind of wanted to talk about that because with series like this, they do that all the time. They change up a little bit of the material and kind of put it in different places a bit. Because they don't want they don't want it to be exactly like the light novel. They want to change it up a bit. And here's how I kind of view that, For light novel readers, I can see them not liking that. I can totally, completely understand that you want it to be exactly the same as the novel. You don't want it to be any different and whatnot. And I understand that, because there's some series that I really love that when they finally get an adaptation, it's like, oh, this is different. What is it? This isn't what I wanted. But here's how I see it. When they do this, typically, they don't normally cut out like really important stuff. They just put it in different spots, And I'm not a light novel reader for Shield Hero, so I couldn't tell you what they've cut. However, I can probably assure you that if it's like a really important scene that was supposedly supposed to come before the events of this episode, I guarantee you it'll just be put into a different spot. They don't cut out really important scenes for series from these shows. Plus, if you think about it, I don't believe an adaptation has to completely and utterly adapt its source material 100%. Because anime, honestly, is, if you think about it, it's a glorified advertisement for the original material. That's what some people got to realize with a series like this. That a lot of anime are literally just advertisements for you to go read the manga or the light novel or sometimes just the novel in general. They want you to get to the source material. So sometimes they don't adapt everything or they adapt them in a little different order. So when you do go and read the source material, whatever it is, it's a different experience from watching the anime itself. So I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. Because I have heard some people complaining about Shield Hero Season 2. And honestly, from an anime-only perspective like myself, it's not a problem. I haven't had any problems with these episodes. I will say, this episode, the ending, we'll talk a little bit about the ending before we get into the episode, because I didn't love the ending of this episode. It kind of felt strange in a way, It kind of... The ending of this episode today did kind of feel rushed. I will say that. Besides what I just said, I do feel like there are some pacing issues with this series. But that's just because I feel like they cut out a lot of the fluff parts. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are mad about. That some of the character development scenes maybe have been cut. But like I said, I think they'll just get moved to later in the season. I don't think they'll just cut it. But, yeah, let's just get into the episode a bit, and then we can talk a little bit more about this as we go on. So, our episode today is honestly really straightforward. Very, very straightforward. It's a giant battle. The whole episode is the battle with the spirit tortoise. Because the whole season, the first 2 episodes of the show has just been build up, and this was the beginning of the battle today. And, It went about as planned, as you would expect, They're fighting the tortoise. Their goal is to cut its head off. That's the goal. That is the only way to take it out. So, that's what they're doing. They've devised the plan and all that. So now Fumi and the gang, they separate and attract all the little monsters while the force is of the Allied armies bear down on it to try to stop it in place, so they can cut its head off. And it's going quite well. They're working at it well. Ors Tori and all them are. Her name still makes me laugh, but we'll let that go. She's working with them and all that, and everything's going smoothly. They're able to stop it in its tracks, to hold it into place. But we realize then that that's a part of its defense mechanism, because once it stops, it goes into kind of like a phase 2 of its attack. If it can't directly take souls from people, it launches its long range assault, which really just is like shells shooting out of its back and wiping people out. And the Allied forces get wiped out. They are almost completely slaughtered. Until Naofumi and the gang realize that, we got to get closer to it. If we keep a distance from it, we're going to get slaughtered, so we actually have to get closer to it because it doesn't want to injure itself. So they do that, and as they're approaching, they get stopped by a ton of monsters, and we get a reveal of Ors Tori's abilities in this episode. She can control gravity, which is a super rare ability, super strong. Frankly, that's like a really broken ability. Just imagine you could control gravity. Like, that's busted. But I'd argue she was the MVP of this episode. So they're able to get closer, and they have the Allied nations put a giant, I guess you would say singe mark, but they're able to inflict a pretty deep wound on its neck. And Raftalia, Philo, and Naofumi, together with Hori, are able to actually cut its head off. And you think that, the day is saved, everyone is beaten, or the tortoise is beaten, we've done it. But the thing is, when the tortoise dies, Hori's supposed to disappear. And we see at the end of this episode that she doesn't disappear. So clearly the tortoise hasn't been beaten yet. And I gotta say, the whole fight felt too easy. They've been building it up for the whole season, basically, this fight. And for it to kind of end in one episode would have been very unsatisfying. And I was even saying to myself while watching it, like, there's no way it's this easy, right? There's no way they take it out this easily. And apparently they did not. It's still around and kicking. And I gotta say, the ending was not really satisfactory. The ending felt rushed to me. Because they just go over to Hori and she's like, oh, yeah, I guess you just didn't beat it yet. And it ends like that. And I kind of didn't like that. That felt kind of rushed to me. So you guys let me know in the comments, honestly, what's been rushed? What has been cut? What have I been seeing people complaining about so much? I genuinely want to know. I'm very curious. So let me know in the comments the kind of stuff that's been cut and the significance of it. Let me know. Because Shield Hero is a series that I feel like I would want to check out the source material for, the light novel. Because a lot of people don't know, it's actually originally a light novel and then it got a manga. Like a lot of series, but it's originally a light novel. So I might check it out in the future and give my perspective from it then. But from light novel readers, let me know in the comments, for real though, about the kind of stuff that you're mad about. Because I have seen a lot of pushback from this season so far. And as an anime only, I kind of just don't get it. So I'm very curious. And I'm curious to know what's going to happen next. Because wasn't the Spirit Tortoise supposed to be the big bad of this season? So for it to supposedly get taken down so easily feels a little lackluster. It makes me think, like, what's happening next? And I don't know about you guys, but I get the feeling that Hori is not letting on as much as she's claiming to, After watching this episode at the end, to me, I don't know, I get the feeling that she's really, really suspicious. I don't know, that could just be me. Maybe that's wistful thinking on my part, but I don't know. I get the feeling that she's hiding stuff for sure. I don't know. Like I said, you guys let me know in the comments what you thought about this episode and what they cut and what you're not liking, because I don't know. I just found that kind of strange that people were giving so much pushback on this, because people love season 1. But yeah, guys, I think that'll be it for today's episode. Like I said, it was a mega straightforward episode. The whole episode was just a giant fight. So, not really too much to talk about unless you want, like, the play for play, like, oh, this happened, and then those forces went and flanked and did this. And, like, nah, no one wants to see that. I don't want to do that. So, I think that'll be it for today. Like I said, I think there's much, much more going on behind the scenes that I hope we get into soon. So, we'll have to see in next week's episode. But until then, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And yeah, deuces, and have a blessed day.